60% of urban dwellers in Africa and account for nearly 50% of the African GDP. Taking into account the 150 million people from Africa or African descent living outside of the continent and forming the African diaspora that is spread over the 5 continents and represent over $4 trillion of purchasing power. Recognizing that the structural transformation expected from the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area and called for by the African Union Agenda 2063 will not materialize if the continent does not leverage on the huge opportunities offered by small and intermediary cities and their rural hinterlands, and implement a more balanced spatial distribution of economic activities and job creation. Understanding that the climate change is here to stay, and that the task of the day is for African local government to adapt to the consequences of climate change and adopt more climate-compatible and resilience pathway to the development at the local level. Aware that the acceleration of the digital transformation of society puts pressure on cities and local government that are summoned to revise their management and relation with the citizen and the other stakeholders through the use of digital technology and smart solutions, despite the limitation they encounter in terms of availability of infrastructure, equipment, and skilled personnel. Fully sensitized on the fact that women and youth are the levers of the structural transformation of Africa and should therefore be involved in the governance structure of cities and territories, declare the following. 1. We wish to make intermediary cities structuring poles of sustainable development in Africa by granting them a prominent place in spatial planning and creating new territorial dynamics that promote exchanges and linkages between the rural and urban environment. 2. We affirm our willingness to establish a constructive political dialogue between different spheres of government in order to abide by the principle of subsidiarity, an essential factor in the effectiveness of public policies. So the number 3 was, we undertake to give priority to urban planning as an instrument for controlling the growth of urban and peri-urban areas by putting in place the institutional, legal, regulatory, and operational instrument, as well as the condition for a participatory dialogue with the people. 4. We endorse the objective of the United Nations 2030 Agenda, the New Urban Agenda, the Right to the City, and the African Union 2063 Agenda, and their translation into local development plans, and call on African countries to develop concerted urban development strategy with adequate technical and financial resources in accordance with the United Nations New Urban Agenda. 5. We are convinced of the place of youth in the construction of the new Africa and call on the mayor to create local youth empowerment councils aiming at their blossoming, their integration, and their socialization in the city. 6. We adopt culture as the 4th pillar of sustainable development by strengthening the cultural identity of territories to make it a potential vector of economic development. 7. We call on the mayors to develop programs and action plans to fight precariousness and vulnerability, especially the one of street children, isolated women, and desocialize youth to combat violence against women by participating in the action of women's groups, and to sign the African Charter for Gender Equality of Rafela and applying its principle in our local governments. 8, we affirm that climate change is a key issue for our territories and recommend to local government to adopt the necessary measures to prepare their territories for the consequences of climate change and invite them to adhere to the Convention of African Mayors for Climate. 9, we call on all states to sign and ratify the African Charter on the values and principles of decentralization, local governance, and local development, and to ensure the proper implementation of the principles it contains. 10, we call for a better distribution of public resources in favor of the development of intermediary cities and for a greater attention to the public policies intended for them. 11, we call for a better use of local taxation and an effective collection of local government taxes, notably property tax. 12, we call on the central government to develop programs to strengthen connection between intermediary cities and the hinterland in order to strengthen exchanges around economic watershed by eliminating transaction costs. 13, we propose to strengthen the links between intermediary cities and the capital cities of states by building secure road network, railways infrastructure, and air links based on local realities and to strengthen digital connectivity. 14, we would like the African Union and the African state to recognize the importance of decentralized cooperation and exchanges between local and regional government so as to strengthen the knowledge and powers of our institutions. 15, we support the establishment of an African Erasmus scheme for committed young people as enshrined in the 2063 agenda. 16, we call on the entire African community to commit itself to the emancipation of women and young people by promoting economic support programs dedicated to women and young people, but also by facilitating access to decent and affordable housing, guaranteeing security, by preventing delinquencies through campaigns to combat violence against women, and by offering young people integration and socialization program through sports and culture. 17, we call on international partners to support the development of African intermediary cities by setting up dedicated programs and funding adapted to local realities. 18, we call on the partners in accordance with the Paris Agreement and aid effectiveness to align themselves with the ongoing decentralization processes in African states based on decentralized and ongoing sector-based policies of decentralization. 19, we call on the international community to take into account the point of view of local and regional government in the development, implementation, and monitoring and evaluation of global agendas. And lastly, 20th, we call for the emergence of a world where Africa is recognized as a continent contributing to the emergence of a united global society that respects the planet, the climate, the biodiversity, and primarily men and women who form the same and common destiny. Thank you. This means that the declaration is approved. Thank you. Thank you.